Hello, everybody. Cliff Ravenscraft here from podcastanswerman.com, and you are listening to episode number 291. I'm recording this intro from my hotel suite here at the Rio All Suite Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. I have had an amazing time here at New Media Expo, and what you are about ready to hear in just a few moments is a recording that I made after probably one of the best meetups that I've hosted ever for the GSPN.TV community. I had a total of 27 people in my suite, and of those 27 people, 15 of those folks were members of the podcast mastermind. Then there were quite a few podcasting A to Z student alumni, and then of course some of the closest GSPN.TV community members. And all of them were here for New Media Expo, and I invited them up for a quiet get-together, one without loud blaring music and stuff like that. Amazingly, you put 27 people into a suite, and it was quite loud just from the conversation, but wow, it was awesome. And then just after everybody was about ready to leave, there were about 8 of us left over, 7 or 8 of us, I can't remember what it was, but anyway, they're going to introduce themselves here in the beginning of this recording, and also they'll mention who they are at the end of the recording also. I wanted to record this special intro for this episode of Podcast Answer Man just because I wanted to encourage each and every one of you to stay calm and don't overreact. What am I referring to? Well, I'm certain that many of you by now have already heard, or actually I'm sure that some of you are going to be hearing about this for the very first time from me right now. But there is a breaking story that just came out Tuesday night, and that is that there is a new company that has come forward stating that they have had a patent for podcasting since 1996. Yes, I know what you're thinking. We'll talk about it more next week. But anyway, if you haven't heard the story, Personal Audio LLC, or if you go to personalaudio.net, this company claims to have a patent for podcasting and is now going through and suing content providers who have made lots of money from podcasting. And it turns out that they have already sued I think it's Ace Broadcasting Network and HowStuffWorks.com and one other company that I've never heard of when it relates to podcasting. But anyway, it seems like they are seeking out a judgment against the violation of a patent for content producers. I don't think that this is going to immediately impact any of the smaller producers like myself or you guys, but I'm certain that by the time this weekend rolls around, there'll be some pretty big stories that are showing up on sites like The Verge and Mashable and various other places. I just want to encourage you guys not to get too worked up over this just right now. I am talking with some people that are quite familiar with this scenario. As I get more information, I'll see if I can't bring that forward to you all. But just like the world did not end on September 21st, 2012, I would say that we're going to just have to see what happens and find out more details as they come out. But anyway, Personal Audio LLC has filed suit against Adam Carolla's broadcast network, Discovery Channel's How Stuff Works network, and some other third network that I don't have pulled up on my screen right now. But anyway, that news did break. My encouragement, don't freak out just yet. I hope to have some more information, some more news by the next episode, by episode number 292, and maybe share a little bit more details of what I know then. But anyway, until then, I want to share with you the conversation that I had during the second of 3 days while hanging out after our meetup with just a few folks talking about our experience here in Vegas. Here's that recording now. I'm going to ask some folks here to introduce themselves, tell us where you're from, and then we'll just go from there. So starting to my left.
All right. My name is Peter Audal from 168 Opportunities, and I am from Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Woohoo!
Excellent.
Albert Athasi from the Local Method Podcast. I'm from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada.
By the way, Peter Adal, Albert Hathazi, both members Podcast Mastermind.
Karen Høg, Denmark, Copenhagen, Denmark. Also a member of the Podcast Mastermind.
Excellent.
Jen Swanson from CommunicationDiva.com, and I'm from Vancouver, Canada.
And also a member of the Podcast Mastermind.
And I'm not. I'm the only one, I think.
I think so. We need to sign her up.
I know.
Not yet.
I know. Well, I am Anne-Sophie Reinhardt and of amindmedia.com. Have a new podcast, Your Life, Your Success. I'm from Germany, Switzerland, now in New York.
Excellent. And of course, she is a returning guest on Podcast Answer Man. It was actually, I think it was November or December of 2011. Anna and I actually flew from Blog World then, LA 2011. We flew from Los Angeles to Oakland. Then we drove up to Petaluma and we occupied Twitch.
We did. It was amazing.
That was awesome.
Dustin Hartzer from YourWebsiteEngineer.com from Dayton, Ohio, and Podcast Mastermind as well.
And this is Cesar Abate from the Construction Industry Podcast.com, and I'm from London, Ontario. Actually from Brazil, but now London, Ontario, Canada.
Canadian.
And also another member of the Podcast Mastermind.
That's right.
So we had an awesome time here. Just absolutely thrilled to have 15 members of the Podcast Mastermind here at this event. And just the podcasting track just has been out of this world. I know that folks hear me talking about it. I'm in charge of it, so obviously I've got a lot of enthusiasm and passion, but you guys have been able to experience just the first 2 days of this conference, and I'm going to ask you guys to kind of share what have been some of your highlights so far. So who wants to go first?
Can I say something first, though?
Yeah.
Just in regards to the podcast or the podcasting track, I heard that John Dumas said that a couple sessions during the sessions he walked out and went to other rooms just to kind of check them out, and the podcasting ones were almost always full, and the other ones weren't always almost full.
Sweet.
So I think it's just a prop to where blogging is, or where podcast is going, and where the interest is of the people that are here.
Yeah. I have to say, though, because I'm mainly blogging and writing, they were not that good. I mean, today was great. John Morrow was amazing, but I have to say that the podcasting ones were better. And that is sad. I mean, for us writers.
It feels like
Yeah.
Now, to me, it feels like I'm in a podcasting conference, to be honest with you. It seems like that's all that's been talked about. It's podcasting. It's not what I expected.
It's a good thing.
In a good way. I did attend a blogging session this morning because they were talking about something I'd never heard of before that I thought would be fantastic for podcasters to know about, something called link parties. And I'd never heard of these before, and it was a mommy blogger session with 6 beautiful sisters who run this blog. And it was full, and it was fascinating, and I think it's completely applicable to what we do. And so I was very excited about that. And
Excellent.
That was a great session that I'm glad I took.
I'm glad you did too. That's one of the exciting things about bringing podcasters, bloggers, and web TV producers together all in one conference, having all of these different sessions. I'm glad that some of you had ventured out to some of these other sessions, because there's a lot of things we can learn from the bloggers.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that you... So can you just give us an understanding of what a link party is? I'm interested.
Yeah, a link party is where a person decides to host a party. I guess similar to Twitter parties, but you host a party and there's a platform to do that with. And what it is you invite people to join, and what they do, and it only lasts for about 3 days or 4 days, and you post a thumbnail that's attractive that you think people will click on, and you post an interesting caption, and it links directly to a post or an episode of your blog. And they will put 200 on their site. They do it every Friday night. They open it, and it's first come, first serve. You might get featured. They feature 5 every week. And you're up there for 4 or 5 days, and then it's down, and they host another party the next week. But what it does is it drives their audience to look at this party because they know it's happening every week, find new things, find new blogs, find things they've never seen before. If it's an attractive picture and a cool caption, then people will click on it, and it drives their numbers like crazy.
That's amazing.
And it's called a link party, and apparently there are link parties in every niche, and I'd never heard of it before. And these are, mommy bloggers and recipe and craft kind of things, but they said they're open on their website to taking anybody on any topic.
So these link parties, that's a platform. And is it like linkparty.com?
Well, I don't know what I can't remember. I have it in my notes somewhere. I can't remember what the exact platform is to host your own. But on their website, they have a directory of link parties, and they would have that information. I think it might be called Linksys, SYS, but don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But this was sixsistersstuff.com.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I enjoyed, I think, every keynote. Guy Kawasaki's keynote. I liked Dana White's fireside chat, and the way the UFC is using social media and how they're communicating with their fans. I think that's huge for everybody. Who's the Ford presentation? I really liked. Made me see Ford differently. Yeah. I don't see another car company doing what Ford is doing. To be honest, though, I didn't know Ford was even doing that stuff. So, but once you see how they put their campaigns together, that was really exciting.
That's great. That was Scott Monty that did that session.
Yeah, I heard. I think it was on Twitter, somebody saying that this was the best keynote in the whole history of blog world. That one by Ford.
Oh,
Wow.
It was. Yeah, I heard it going around.
Well, that must have been posted before tonight's keynote, which of course was Leo Laporte. There were a couple things that I loved about what Leo did tonight and what I think was really awesome, and it did for the podcasting community, because there was one thing that Leo did in those original keynotes. I wasn't there, but I listened to them, and he introduced the whole controversy of not calling it podcast, and we did not get the N-word tonight. Now, the N-word is netcast. Oh. He did not say that word. So one of the things that I love is that Leo Laporte always used the word podcasting tonight. He did say, you know what, he said, I'm still not a fan of the word, but that's what we are. That's who I am, a podcaster. And he said that several times. I am a podcaster. We are podcasters. And I personally, I'm an evangelist for not just podcasting, but I'm an evangelist for the word podcast. I figure, why reinvent the wheel? We want this thing to go mainstream. And he said in all fairness, he said he's not a fan of the word blog. But the thing is whose grandmother today doesn't know what a blog is? And how does that happen? Well, it's because blogging's been around for 10, 15, some odd years now. Podcasting has only been around for, 7 or 8 years now. And so podcasting is about ready to get to the place where our grandparents know what podcasts are. And if we start calling them something different, then I think we've shot ourselves in the foot with some of the momentum we've made. So the fact that actually Leo says we're podcasters, I'm a podcaster, I loved that.
Not to interrupt, but I think the main thing is that Leo is among us now.
Yes.
That he joins us and he talks to us, and I saw him talking to everybody. I talked to him myself, and he needs to tap into the community because I know when Leo does that, he learns stuff.
What I cared about and what I loved about the keynote was that he sees us as content creators. That's what I would call us as the future. And that's exactly what we are. And that's what social media enables us to do. That's what blogging, podcasting, vidcasting enables us to do, is that we can put our truth out there and we can start to fight the big media, and we can actually, make this world a bit better and stop the fear and stop all these things. And I believe that step by step we can all do it, and it's the power of the many, I think.
One of the things that I did love about that he actually made a case for why he didn't like the word podcasting. It was the first time that I think he communicated it in a way that didn't like put down podcasting, like it's an inferior and old technology that it's never going to go anywhere. That's the way that I used to hear him say. It's like podcasting's dead, it's too hard. But he didn't do that today. Today, when he says I don't like the term podcasting, he goes, because I think that limits us. And exactly, we're content creators. We're creating content, and podcasting is a channel. It's a distribution method of getting our content out to the world. And so I totally agree with that. But there is something that's unique about podcasting. He actually asked tonight, he goes, so who here considers themselves a podcaster? And of course, obviously, I'm sitting front and center, and I started clapping. But guess what? I wasn't alone. I heard a lot of people clapping that actually say, I am a podcaster. Now, you know what? Am I a blogger? I don't consider myself to be a blogger. Do I blog? Yes, I do. Am I a video producer? I don't consider myself to be a video producer, but do I produce video and use it all the time? Yeah. But my preferred, some people are bloggers, but they're content creators. And so, I'm very keen on this. I watch Leo all the time. I love Leo. He was recently did an episode of Know How, which is the closest show that they have to what used to be the Screensavers. And they did an episode on how to podcast. All right, so obviously I'm interested to see how they're going to do this. Ayaz Akhtar, Leo Laporte, they're going to tell people how to podcast. I'm really eager to see how this goes over. And Leo starts the entire episode and says, so the title today is How to Podcast. And he starts, and the very first thing he says, and first of all, what we're doing here, this is not a podcast. I used to podcast. This is not a podcast. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Leo, come on. I actually told all this to Leo today. And I said, there's like, wait a second. Yes, it is, because I am watching you. I'm watching the video of Know How right now as a podcast. One of the things he said, they go through and they went through all the technology, and I said, you could do video too, and he's like, yeah, you could, and he says, and you could even put it on YouTube, and he's like, yeah, if you want to, that's an easy way to do it. You could actually just create some video content, upload it to YouTube. You've got a channel, and blah blah blah. And I think Ayaz kind of said, and that's a podcast. And Leo actually correctly said, no. It's not a podcast unless it's deliverable via the RSS feed. The binary file has to be able to be subscribed to and delivered and pulled from the RSS feed. And he says, so therefore YouTube, he goes, but you could tie an RSS feed to the YouTube channel. He goes, but why would you want, and he says it in Know How, why would you want to do that? And I'm sitting here with my iPad and my earbuds on a plane up in the air with no Wi-Fi. This, Leo Laporte, is why you want an RSS feed on this video. Because I'm consuming it right now. If you did not have the RSS feed, this would not be a podcast, and I would not be able to click play on YouTube or on your website. I would not stream this. I'm up in the air. There's no internet. But I downloaded it via the RSS as a podcast, and that's how I continue to consume your content.
The people who that I have noticed who don't acknowledge what a podcast is, and who often says we don't have to worry about it, we shouldn't care about it, is the people who don't do it. The people who podcast know how important it is to stick to all the things that you have to have all the tools in place and know how to do it. And we need a community. We need to keep together like we do now and like we do at this conference. And we need people like Leo to come and acknowledge what we do and not sort of say we don't need to. We need that because we still don't have the technology in place. It's still hard to podcast. It's not easy to podcast. There's so many, if you want to do it right, so it's easy for the consumers, for the people to get up our content, we really have to work hard on this. So that's why I come here from Denmark all the way, is to, be reminded and to, keep close to the people who have an influence on the way this medium is developing, because it's still developing. It's not finished.
To me, it feels like I really enjoyed the keynote. To me, it seems like he has this 30,000 foot view of what's going on, because he's been in radio, he's been on TV, and now he's doing this. At times, it felt like he was a little, because of the word choices, he was little bit out of touch. But I think he was humble enough to understand that there's this thing going on down below, and he was kind of almost like crashing the party, And we look up to him, and he understands that, but he's like, oh, okay, They really want to be called podcasters. I better use this word a lot.
That is exactly, you know what? that is exactly that's the impression that I had. I had the opportunity to spend an hour or so with Leo this afternoon, and I thought, he came, he agreed to come, and I'm so glad that he did. But I didn't think that he suspected that the podcasting track would be this big.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he would think that there would be that many podcasters in that crowd. And one of the things that happened was, I can tell you, it took a lot for me to get Leo here. And so he came, and I will tell you right now that this evening, he's like, this is amazing. Of course, you heard at the podcast. I don't think in a million years, I don't think that Leo ever believed that room that we were in for the podcasting awards would be standing room only, people out the door. He never dreamed that was going to happen, and you can tell he's like, wow, podcast. And this is one of the favorite things he said during his keynote. He goes, I once said at a keynote somewhere, podcasting is dead. And he says, well, we see how that happens. We see how that works. So he understands, it's like, wow, there is a grassroots effort of people who do, like you all said, that we do still consider ourselves podcasters, that this is our meeting. And this is the 8th annual podcast awards. You can't kill it. We're still here. And I love that. And the thing is, he's like, listen, why am I not a sponsor of the podcast awards? He said that in front of everybody. It's almost as like, man, I forgot how vibrant this community was. Because what happened was the podcast awards didn't have a live event. It was just live streaming, and he made a joke saying, Todd Cochran, he's sitting there in his studio and for the 6th and 7th annual podcast awards. But what happened was, Leo came here and he saw this community, and he's like, wow, okay, so podcasting isn't dead. and he says, listen, sign me up. I'm here next year. I'm sponsoring the podcast awards next year, and I think we've got him in. I don't know if he'll ever, come to say, that he'll ever say, maybe this video stuff didn't work out. but he does still stay today. He's like, listen, 90% of my income still comes from the audio podcast downloads.
He did.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I would say that, just an overall impression of Leo for the podcast awards. When we first got in there, the room was kind of empty, and I could tell he was kind of thinking, oh, okay, maybe. But at the end there, it was packed. It was standing people in there, and of course you could tell that he was having a ton of fun, because I think he was a little bit surprised from everybody that was there.
Yeah.
So, I totally understand that.
But one thing I was going to say is that, in a way, how he criticized the TV networks, and how, because they try to dictate how things should go. When you unilaterally decide to abolish the word podcasting, he's basically guilty of the same thing. He's trying to dictate where we should go, and I think he kind of, during his keynote, he kind of realized that, like backtrack a little bit, and he was turning into Fox. By trying to dictate where we should go.
Did you notice he put his notes away at one point and he just started going off the cuff?
Yep. Yeah. And the thing is that, with language, that's in the end, it's all the language. It's organic, right? And we can't force it. We became podcasters, even if it has nothing to do with. If you say podcasters, long enough, it kind of loses the meaning. We forget that it's tied to iPods and stuff. It just becomes its own thing, and you can't fight that. And especially in this world of social media, that things grow organically. You should just let it grow and see where it goes, and just adjust as it goes.
but you should be a part of it. And I'm so happy that Leo now is a part of it.
Exactly.
That he's tapping into the community because the community is there. And you're a great part of that, Cliff. And everybody says that here, that you're doing a great job holding the community together. And then you see people coming back, both to this conference and also back to podcasting, like Chris Brogan has started podcasting again. Mm-hmm. And today I was happy to meet the Podcast Brothers.
Tim and Emil Burquin are here.
Tim and Emil, I was so happy, to see them because they mean a lot to me. They got me started in this medium. And they were sort of building up to the first podcasting expo. And people at the time said, podcast, what kind of expo? What did you say? Because they were making an expo in 2005 about something that people didn't know about.
Yeah.
So they were here, and a lot of people, Rob Greenlee was here again, and a lot of people who were there at the time. And I hope that, like Leo, people will come back, tap in, and see what they can do to influence, to have an impact. But I think they can only have an impact, really, if they're a part of it.
One thing I was impressed with were in the podcast awards were, there was NASA podcast and there was ESPN podcast and there was TEDx podcast. And I'm thinking, those are huge names. And they're part of the podcast awards. There's shows that have been nominated that are legit podcasts. And, that's not just known in our world. It's known farther than that. And one of the other things I want to say is in our country we have a national radio, CBC Radio, Canadian Broadcasting Company. It's our national radio, and they always talk about, if you want to download the podcast, every show that they do is recorded as a podcast, and you can download it from their site. And they use that word all the time. Like I listen to that radio all the time, and they're always talking about podcasts. So
just a little parenthesis. Just wanted to let everybody know that our friend Albert Hatazi that's sitting here, he was a featured guest on CBC.
That's right.
Yes, he was. Both radio,
awesome.
nationally syndicated, and in the podcast as well.
Yeah.
Well, one word on language, even in Germany, the news. It's a vidcast, it's a podcast. You can download the news as a podcast, you can download it as a vidcast. So the word is used.
The word is there. Yeah.
It's a blog as well. So that's just what we say. It's semantics in the end. Who cares, right? It's like
no, it does. I do care because I care a lot because there's the consumer part of it, and maybe I don't think the users of podcasts should care.
We don't
really, but producers should
need to care.
We need to care.
We need to understand the value of that RSS feed.
We need to understand that because nobody else does. And we, even among us, have to sometimes remind each other that this is important to stick to that.
Yeah.
Because you even hear podcasters, I'll just, and I know Todd Cochran, who does the Podcast Award, has a hard time holding it all together because so many people would you say they don't acknowledge that you have to have an RSS feed.
Yeah.
So they consider themselves podcasters, but they don't do it as a podcast. So it's a hard, somebody has to do the work and maintain the whole concept.
Let's talk a little bit more about New Media Expo in general, the networking and the relationships. Can you tell me some of those relationships that you've made here at the conference and some of the conversations and inspiration and encouragement you've had?
I was just going to add one last thing to the keynote with, I was trying to get in, it's very hard, there's 8 people who all want to talk, we're all podcasters, we all love talking. But the thing that I thought was really cool, and I'm a big Leo fan, like I listen to Mac Break Weekly every week, the thing that I really liked was kind of the behind the scenes story that he told. That's the pieces that really stuck out to me. He kind of shared his numbers, how much they made like year over year starting in 2005, and just like where you can go as being a podcaster or a network of shows like he has. They're up into the millions of dollars of revenue they bring in each year. They've got HD cameras. What did he say? 100 and some cameras?
72 cameras.
72 cameras in this place because he's like, that's just awesome to me. Like the technology is just so cool. It's just crazy. It's mind blowing that just think like that can be something that we can aspire to if we want to. If we don't want to go that big, that's not what we have to do as podcasters. But he's just there sharing his information. his podcasts are like he gets to sit around a table like we're doing right now, or talking with his friends about the coolest thing that's out there in the world. And I just think that's so powerful and so cool. And there's people out there by the hundreds of thousands that subscribe to his content and just listen. So it just shows that there's a huge market for any content, any niche, anything. Just talk about it if you're passionate about it. Now moving on to the section with what you've learned.
So networking. You guys tell us, some of the people you've met, just the conversations, anything especially encouraging, somebody you bumped into that you're happy to see.
I met Leo Laporte and Leo from Buffer app.
Yes.
He was standing around. I just turned around and I saw this guy. His name tag said Leo. I was like, oh, that's the guy. And started talking to him. I was like, you're really young. And I mean, I'm really young here. Like, I'm not even 30 yet. He's like, yeah, I'm 22. I was like, dude, I heard your interview on Mixergy, and I heard that they bring in like $70,000 a month, and I'm like, you're 22? Like, that's awesome, so we got a conversation, and he talked about his session, and then I went to his session, and we talked a little bit afterwards, and, it's just kind of a neat thing to meet people in person. Like, I use your service all the time. Buffer is so cool, and I just talked to the guy that created it. Like, how neat is that?
That is awesome.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really blown away by this conference. I've been to a lot of conferences, right, in my sector, which is completely different. So it's a bunch of people, and each one of us here, we are, in a way, like the head of a tribe, the head of a community, and we have a platform, and there's this. It's understood by everybody that we're here to help each other, and so it's totally okay for you to come and tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey, my name is Caesar, and then there's this conversation, okay, how can we help each other here, and it's amazing, and not only that, I got to meet some people that I follow on by listening to their podcasts or reading their blogs. It's just amazing. I'm really, really impressed, and it's really well organized as well. As far as conferences go, they're really on the ball. All the way from registration to organizing everything is just perfect. So I'm really happy.
Well, there's one thing I want to mention before I forget. John Morrow was doing his session today, so that was amazing. And that was the reason why I was here. Totally forgot that. John Morrow is my role model. He's amazing. He's an incredible writer, and that he was here, that was unbelievable. And his session rocked, and I will listen to it over and over and over again, and that was amazing. So I'm glad I got to see him.
Yeah, the Internet Business Mastery one literally made people laugh and cry.
Really?
They told a story, and I got all teared up, and then I noticed the lady in front of me did, and there was a guy over here that did, and it was unbelievable. It was, and what they said, they said all sorts of things, but what they said was, you just don't know how what you're doing is going to change somebody else's life in a profound way. And you may never know, or you may find out a year later, or you may find out in a week from an email. But there were stories that they told about people that have come back and said, because of what you've done, I stayed in bed for X number of weeks and my child lived. It was that profound, right? We're all sitting there. So, it was a phenomenal session. But to remember that what we do is important.
Cliff, you know that. You know how you've helped me in my darkest hours. And podcasting has saved my life, and I'm forever going to be grateful for that. It has a profound impact on lives. Yeah. It does.
One thing I think about all the time, is how the internet has there are no secrets anymore. You can't hide, right? So everything is out in the open. So, and that you can get two results from that, right? Number one is you have to behave and be good, because, right, everybody can see it. Or pretend, but even you can't do that for very long.
But people do.
Yeah.
So much.
Or bad behavior becomes okay, and we see both today. Okay, we see celebrities that justify being bad because they can't hide. And on the other side of the spectrum is this conference. Okay, in which goodness is rewarded, and it's so cool to see goodness being rewarded, and how we can all share in this. I think it gives me faith in humanity again.
Another cool thing for me, which was really, really pretty neat, like last year was my first new Media Expo or Blog World. It was fun to go to. It's fun to come back and see the same people over again, meet them again. It was really cool. But the thing last year I just went. I was a participant. I was there.
When you say last year, you're talking about June. This year.
Well,
right, it was last year.
It's 2012.
Sorry for correcting you. Absolutely right. But you're talking about June Blog World and NYC.
Right, exactly. But then I got a couple people that listened to my podcast and like, we're coming. We want to meet you. And I'm like, well, okay, now I need to do something. Like, I'm gonna have a meetup. Like, and now I'm thinking like, okay, everybody else's meetups are late at night. Like, okay, I'm gonna do a breakfast meetup. Like, I just kind of threw it out there. I kind of made something up, and we had a breakfast meetup this morning. It was ridiculously early, and we were all tired, but we all had breakfast. It was a good time, and there was 10 people. Like,
wow.
Is that a great meetup? No, like we went.
Yes,
wait, I'm just saying. Listen, is it a great meetup? Yes, it was a great meetup last night with Pat Flynn. 100. Would I like to have 100 of my closest friends with me? Yes. Have I started a podcast 2 years ago? Yes. Like, I'm way new into it. We had so much fun, just the 10 of us, because I got to know each person just a little bit more. If there's 100 people, it's a lot harder. Yeah. But it was just so much fun. It was a great time. And, I mean, I wouldn't have, thinking back 3 years, like, would I have ever thought that, in 3 years from now, I'm going to have a podcast meetup with people who listen to me, that when I'm sitting in my basement talking about WordPress, like, no, that's never my wildest dream, but it's so
Dustin,
awesome.
I have to ask you a question, though. When did you decide to throw the meetup? When did you put it together?
The week before. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago.
I mean, not very long ago.
10 people show up.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Now, think about that. Come back next year and start planning for your meetup 3 months before and start announcing it over and over again.
And I only did it because 2 people...
And save up your pennies, brother.
2 or 3 people said that they wanted to meet me live, and it's like, well, why don't I just put something together? If I have 2 people, awesome. 2 people. If it's 100 people, awesome, But, just those people that reach out to you as a content creator, and they just want to say thank you for bringing value into their life. I think that's really important.
It's amazing that they would say that they would come here to meet you.
Right.
That's crazy. I think that's even more impressive than them showing up for your meetup. That they would come to Las Vegas.
Right.
I want to meet Dustin.
Right.
That's really cool.
Because nobody wants to come to Dayton to meet me, so we'll come to
Cool. Well, this was my first ever New Media Expo conference, and I was totally blown away. Not only is it my first New Media Expo conference or Blog World, but it's my first conference going to a place where I'm among people who are creating content creator. They create content, and totally amazed as far as just being able to meet members of the podcast mastermind that we've been with each other in the trenches for the past year. But not only that, but the other people, people like Cheryl from Oh So Pinteresting, and being like an influencer in her life. She came to our session.
Cynthia,
oh my goodness.
It's okay. Yeah.
She's going to hurt me if you hear
Somebody
this.
do me a favor and make sure to introduce me to her tomorrow. She has been so encouraging to me, and I've never met her.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. And she came to our session, and she wants to maybe start a podcast, and we're like, and she likes Pinterest, and there's not a podcast about Pinterest, and I just told her, get on that thing.
But my session too.
Yeah, exactly. She came to your session too. So, and meeting people like that, and then what's the guy that you interviewed? The marriage guy, Tony.
DiLorenzo.
Yes, I had a great talk with him tonight, but also the people that you looked up to online all the time, just being able to see them, shaking hands with Pat Flynn, and I guess there's others too. And meeting Leo, I could not get over the fact that he was so personable. Don't get me wrong, I can see how he's just very, laid back type of guy, but he actually said, your name, Odal, 2 A's. He's like, that's Odal in Norway. And he went off in this whole thing. And he saw me again and said, Peter Odal. And he kept on pointing at me and doing these things. And so I was just really impressed by
Yeah.
all this so far. So,
Awesome.
and also I get to meet you for the first time too in person. So, yeah.
Very cool.
And you led a session at your
That's
first
right.
time.
Yeah, first time doing Media Expo, and I led a session. That's a true honor and blessing. I feel very, very blessed to be able to do that. So,
Yeah.
Sweet.
And not to mention the fact that we had a lot of questions. That was a lot of questions directed towards us. We got to help some people out. So, yeah.
Well, one of the highlights for me was, there are like 5 things, but obviously tonight's meetup was out of this world. We're sitting in a room right now that is a 1,100 square feet suite that the conference provided me so we could have this meetup here.
We're all laying down in shades.
We're in the corner. We literally have a gorgeous view from up here, and it is just awesome. And I don't know, I'd say we had about 30 people in this room tonight, and that was just awesome. Having 15 members of the podcast mastermind here in one place is just I can't even begin to tell you what that means to me personally. That's just awesome. To be able to take all these people I know and continually plug you guys into the face-to-face, that really means a lot to me. I also had yesterday my best speaking experience I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, you did.
Number one, I was sick. I was on cold medication, and I had no filter. I let it all out.
Yes,
but that's what made it brilliant, though.
It was.
You were opinionated, and you were.
I was opinionated.
That was the worst podcast
I've ever heard in my life. It really, really stunk, and he should have called on my voicemail feedback line, or else I wouldn't have told him. Anyway, it was so much fun, and I am so conflicted. There's my ego that was boosted so huge because the room had about 155 people in it, and they took 5 people out. And I've been told that they actually turned away about between 40 and 50 people outside the door, and they had the security there saying, sorry, fire code, you can't come in. And so my is like, wow, that is really awesome. On the other hand, I was like totally bummed. Just like, my gosh, because I don't do this just so. Okay, there's a part of me that does this for my ego. Come on, seriously, I like the attention. Yeah. But seriously, no, I wanted to get up there and I wanted to encourage and inspire people that it's not all about the money. It's not all about growing. My topic was how to grow your audience and market your podcast. But what I loved was I was able to say, look at this. This is a room of 155 people. All right? Look at this. And there's like energy in this room. And I'm sitting there, it's like, could you imagine how would each of you feel if I was to say, man, I spent so much time putting everything together, and I come here to speak to you guys, and there's only 155 people in this room? I don't even know if it's worth doing this next year. How would that make you feel? And I said, now, take a look at that. Look around this room. Wouldn't you love to have the ability to stand up on the stage and capture the attention of 155 people in this room every single week? I said, well, if you've got 150 or more subscribers to your podcast, this is exactly what you have, and be thankful for it. And I wanted to get that message out, and I wanted to get the message of, serve people, and stuff like that. And to think that, all those people got turned away, so it was a double-edged sword. It's like, yeah, that was really cool that I had a standing room only. They had to actually make people, but no, it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
And I want to say, it's the best that I've heard you speak. Even though, I go to the sessions when I'm local, but you play a lot of them on Podcast Answerman. I know a lot of your backstory, and I still got cool stuff out of it that is like, wow, I've never heard this out of Cliff before, or,
you heard a lot of things you've never heard out of Cliff before. Right. Cliff on Podcast Answerman does have a filter.
Hey, it's Vegas. Whatever happens.
I want to thank the medicine that you took to remove that filter.
I had several people tell me when I go to Michael Hyatt's platform conference that right before I get on stage, I have to take that medicine. That's fine.
That's how Elvis got in trouble.
Okay, maybe I won't do that. Well, anything else? I think that what do you? Okay, Vegas. I want to hear. Yeah. What do you think?
It's a crazy place. Landing at the airport, you're approaching Vegas, and it's like desert. Like, why would anybody live here? And then you land, and it's this fake paradise. It's like almost like God. Screw that. We're gonna turn this.
I love it.
Water fountain.
Title for the episode. God. Screw that. Title for the episode.
Water fountains and Venetian with canals and it's like it's so over the top and it's cool. You know what I decided to do yesterday? I went to church. It was Sunday.
I heard.
Yeah. So I just I'm here. I want to see what church here looks like. So I just went. It's right on the strip too. The cathedral. next to the
prostitutes.
Yeah. It's the one-stop shop. No, it's right next to the Wynn Encore Hotel there. So and then I walked a little bit back from there. So it's cool. It's a cool place for sure.
I think it's cool, but I don't think there's enough time, for us to do things. I've been to Vegas before, and it's fun to just go and look at the buildings and the architecture and how things work or what they look like. But the only time, unless we're skipping sessions, to get outside is dark. It's dark outside, so you don't really get the feeling of Vegas. Plus, it's by the time you get done with your meetups and everything, it's midnight or 1 o'clock. And
what time is it now? Does anybody know?
It's 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. And by the way, who's on East Coast time normally?
Oh, yeah.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning for us.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's a great town to be in for those types of things, but there's so much conference stuff going on that you don't really get to enjoy. You almost have to come an extra day early or stay an extra day late just to kind of get some of that stuff in.
That is the key. I will tell you, I'm here until Friday night at midnight, and the conference ends on Tuesday. And so it's like, listen, this. And by the way, this is my first time to Vegas. I know people heard this last week, and boy, I tell you what, the whole universe is against me coming to Vegas. Not this time, baby. I'm here, and I'm staying.
Making it work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. These conferences, when they're in a big city that is a touristy place and stuff like that, you're not going to be able to. If you fly in for the conference the night before, and you leave the day after it's done or that night, you're not going to be able to enjoy that city. Maybe you can get a meetup that will take you someplace cool that you can experience the nightlife of that town, but you're not going to really enjoy. Especially Vegas is a thing where you want to walk the strip during the day. Mm-hmm. So absolutely plan to come a day early, plan to stay a day late, one or the other or both, and you'll really have, because Vegas is awesome. So far what I've seen, and I can't wait to see more.
I'm with Caesar. It's a strange and fascinating vortex of humanity.
That could be the show title.
Oh, don't bring your children.
But I have never been here before, and I was a little, I never had any desire to be here. I wouldn't be here unless it was this conference. I get the heebie-jeebies in Niagara Falls because I thought it was pretty cheesy and over the top. But I must say,
it's like mini Vegas there.
Yeah, but it's really cheesy. Sorry, Niagara Falls, but I mean the falls are beautiful. But you know what? This isn't what I expected, and it's more sophisticated. I think. It can be cheesy, but I think it's more sophisticated cheese, if you want to go with that, and fascinating at the same time as being strange, and there are children in the lobby of this casino sometimes.
It's really weird.
With people who are doing the dancing, all of a sudden pop up on a stage and start, moving, and it's like, oh. And then
there's see-through nightgowns.
Pretty much nothing. And here goes somebody with a stroller, and I also find it sad. Yeah. I find there's some sad things. Some sad, lonely things going on here too. And I mean, I guess that's true everywhere. But It's a strange place.
Just wanted to point out that it seems like this place is dominated by Canadians. Right?
There's only three of us.
Shania Twain and Celine Dion playing, and then out of 6 here, half of us, except for Cliff, we're from Canada, so representing.
It's to higher the level of...
It's a global community.
Yes. But Canada is
Well represented, yes.
But I put
That would connect.
$20 into the slot machine. I didn't even get one credit out.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hope,
They didn't even
it's not a
let
good
me-
investment, I think.
No.
And you were
But the
done.
good thing about it was that I stopped.
Yeah.
Because I don't, okay, I'm not going to put another $20 into
At least that wasn't €20.
You know, gambling is extremely addicting and stuff like that. And that would be a concern for bringing somebody to a new Media Expo and stuff like that. And, I'll tell you, I'm one of those guys that has an addicting behavior, one of the things you won't see me doing with you guys is having a drink with you because, before you know it, I'm on my 9th and I don't remember having a party with you guys at all. And I've gone to casinos before and it's like, I'm only going to do $40. That's it. And of course, within like 25 minutes, I'm up $180. It's like, yes, this is $100, and I put the $40 back in my pocket. And my experience was like, okay, and it's like, well, now you know what? I've got my $40. This isn't my money anyway. I'm going to play around, and I would get it, up to this, down to this, up to this, down, and then finally I'm down to nothing. It's like, well, I was going to spend this $40 anyway, and you pull it back down, and then it's gone. It's like, but I know. It's like, okay. Go to bed, Cliff. Seriously, and it takes and I consider myself to be, somewhat self-disciplined. I think myself as a person of integrity. I don't want to ruin my, financial life and my family. And it's like, but even I, with as much self-control and stuff like that, even I feel that temptation to keep doing more. And so that's something to think about when you think of coming to Vegas as well.
Yeah.
But that's just one thing here. There's drinking, there's smoking, there's gambling, there's sex.
Let me ask you.
It's a balance.
I get the sense though that being inside the Rio, I feel like other than the fact that we've had to walk through the casino, obviously, and we've passed a lot of people smoking and drinking and stuff like that. I feel kind of, and yes, I did. I was checking in, and the girl got up on the stage and started singing, and I'm like. It's like, I'm going to turn around and see who's singing on stage. I'm going to turn around and not watch this That's a little creepy.
I think where you were going with your question, Cliff, is I think we feel a little excluded, or like we're away from things. We're
buffered from
We're
it.
buffered. Honestly, how many of us actually went outside today?
That's it.
I did.
I guess we did this morning to walk across the street.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
But most people probably didn't leave. They had breakfast inside the hotel. They walked right down to you didn't even put a jacket on today. That's my life most of the time. I don't go outside. But today I walked outside. But we're here. You have those things, but you're not seeing all of Vegas because we're all in one place.
So it's kind of full circle. So we talked about the fact that we don't maybe get to see all the city life and stuff like that and all the exciting things. But at the same time, there's all this really kind of seedy, scary stuff. And I think it's important. And I think you captured where I was going with that. Don't listen to this podcast and not come to New Media Expo next year because of all this stuff. Know this. I'm a Christian guy who has high values and stuff like this, and I come here and I have not felt unsafe or I'm going to
pressure to do something.
I have not been solicited by a prostitute or anything like that.
There's still a few days left.
I don't know what I'm going to do after you leave.
And I've walked, I'm doing that all the time in New York and everywhere. I've traveled forever alone, but I'm walking up and down the strip on my own. I've not once has anybody talked to me. If you walk with a straight face, and you don't even have to look at the ground. You walk with a straight face, and you just walk like you know what you're doing.
Yeah. There's a funny story. We were sitting, getting ready to watch Caesar go on while he was on stage, getting everything ready. And there's this lady. We started talking, and somehow it came up that I sing Elvis in a tribute band, and she goes, "Honey, I'm from Vegas. That mean nothing to me." I said, right. You're right.
Albert, will you do me a huge favor, man? On Podcast Answer Man, will you sing Elvis for us?
Okay, I'll try. When we kiss, my heart's on fire, burning with a strange desire. And I know each time I kiss you that your heart's on fire too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
TheLocalMethod.com.
No Christopher Walken.
You do Christopher Walken?
Oh, man. But is he here tonight?
Do me a favor, Christopher Walken introducing the Podcast Answer Man episode.
Hello, this is Christopher Walken. Welcome to the Podcast Answer Man with Cliff Ravenscraft. He's good.
Awesome. Love it. Peter, what about you, man? Vegas.
Vegas. I think the Saturday night, the speakers reception, I mean, it was really loud. I had a hard time hearing people, but it dawned on me, I'm like, wow, I'm in the Hyde. I've heard about this place, and I'm in the Hyde right now. I don't know how many of my friends are ever going to get to be here.
Tell people what the Hyde is, because I did not know what the Hyde was, and I didn't realize why the music was so loud until I realized, oh, that's why the music is so loud, and there's like 50 subwoofers up in the ceiling of the rafters of this room. So what is the Hyde?
Well, maybe you need to explain it a little bit. I just know that it was like this. It's this area that is, I guess, desired. I mean, it's like a place to hang out. It's a party-like place.
Yeah,
party
it's
room.
VIP only, man.
VIP.
So here's the Hyde. This I don't know if you actually saw this, but so here's the thing. So everybody goes to Vegas. My wife says, Cliff, whatever you do, I want you to get pictures of the what?
Fountain.
Of the fountain.
The Bellagio.
The Bellagio.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. And it's like, yeah. So I don't know if you know this, but the Hyde is, so basically everybody goes and they see the fountains from the strip, from the road. Well, the Hyde is actually at the level of the fountains inside the Bellagio, and so there was the whole panoramic windows open, and every time the music got really loud, I don't know if you know, is it every 30 minutes the fountains go off?
I think maybe 10 or 15.
And so every 10 or 15 minutes when the fountains go off, the music starts again, the fountains go to the music, and so the room is actually vibrating to the motion of what was going on outside the window if you would have turned around.
Because people on the road need to listen, so it's really loud, so you can reach the strip.
Well, I do remember one moment there when the fountains are going off, and it was an Italian song, and one of you two was singing along with John Dumas, and he was like recording it, and it was just actually a really fun moment watching.
I don't know.
Because
Yeah, it's probably you, Caesar. Yeah, and I mean that was cool. Seeing the fountains that you see in movies or something like that, and you're like, wow, that's really it. And that water goes super high.
Yeah,
super high.
And it shoots off. And it sounds like cannons.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's to the music. It's really cool.
But anyway, thank you guys so much for coming out to Vegas. Thank you guys listening to this conversation with some wonderful people here in my life, and hopefully that what you've heard here tonight just gives you a feeling of just the afterglow. By the way, there's still a whole day left of this thing, and so it's going to be awesome. And I hope that many of you will come out and be in Vegas with us next year for New Media Expo. So I'm going to give everybody an opportunity real clearly, and for everybody, please plug your stuff. So we'll start with Peter.
All right, yes.
It's not 160, by the way.
No, yes. 168opportunities.com. You can find me there. And I'll just give out my Twitter at Peter Aadahl, PEDERAADAHL.
Awesome.
Cool. You can find me at thelocalmethod.com, and all the contact information is there. Love to have you listen to the show.
You can find me at podconsult.dk for Denmark. I'm Karen Herg, and glad to be here.
I'm Jen Swanson, communicationdiva.com, and you can find me on Twitter at JENN Swanson, and then the number 2.
You can find me on amindmedia.com, and my Twitter handle is at amindmedia.
And that's AMIND Media.
Yes.
And this is Dustin Hartzler from your website, engineer.com, and you can find all my contact information there. It's just easier. That's easier to spell than Hartzler.
And same here, I'm Cesar Big, and I'm the host of the Construction Industry Podcast. You can find it at constructionindustrypodcast.com.
All right. Thank you all very much. By the way, Podcasting A to Z starts Monday, January 14th. I still have a few spots. Head over to podcastingatoz.com. Use promo code PAM for $100 off. And, of course, until next time, I encourage you all to take everything you do
To the next level.